Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me in another of my wonderful interviews. Today, talking to a young man who I've been meaning to talk to for a long time to bring on the channel because he has his own channel and he's doing great guns and interviewing lots of people. I think, oh, blimey, I'd like to interview that person myself. Of course, he started out as I say he started out, he's been a filmmaker for some time, but he came to my attention when he filmed in Thetford and he was at the town council and there was a huge kerfuffle. And I reached out to him and I said, is there any chance we could use some of your footage in a piece about that on the channel? And he very kindly said yes. And we've become great friends ever since. He is, of course, the legendary Kris Brooks. Kris, welcome to the show from LSB Film Productions.
Hello, thank you for having me on.
It's a pleasure, Kris. And it's great to see where you're going now with all your interviews and the stuff that you're doing. And as I say, I keep an eye on what you're up to, as I dare say you do me. We're all on the same channel trying to work out what's going on and put the world to rights, which is great. So I thought it'd be good to get you on to sort of find out a bit about you, really, and LSB, where that came from, and a bit of your journey, and then where you're going now.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Is that all right?
That's fine.
Fantastic. Now, I should say, we came up, just before we get into all of that, we came up to Thetford, where you're based. And I've read about Thetford many times in various history books that I've been in, and they talk about various parts of Thetford. And you very kindly, when Julia and I came up, about 6 months ago, something like that now, took us around and you showed us the castle, or the mound, the motte. Great big motte. Lovely Julia is actually, she just walked in. Come and say hello to Kris. Well, we are kind of recording. We just got going, but kind of recording. Yeah, well, we are recording.
Hello, we are recording, so you're going to be online.
You're going to be on live. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Hello.
Hiya, Kris. How you doing? It's been a long time.
It has. I look forward to your next visit down.
Yeah, me too. Liking the facial hair. Very nice.
Thank you. I've actually shaved a bit.
It's actually shaved. Yeah. Wasn't a very good shaver, Kris. You need to invest in a sharper one.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean, though. It looks really tidy. It looks good.
Nice. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Anyway, I'll leave you to it.
Thank you so
Take
much.
care.
Yeah, nice to see you, Julia. She's on her way down to her mum's, bless her. Have a safe journey.
Will do.
Anyway, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. That doesn't normally happen, but because it's a very relaxed show, anything can happen, as they used to say in Stingray. Do you remember Stingray?
Only, vaguely.
Anything can happen.
That's like Thunderbirds, yeah?
Yeah, the old Super Marionation.
Yeah, that's right.
That'll suddenly please a lot of audience because they're all of a certain age, which is a bit strange. Anyway, so we came up to Thetford. You took us around. It was very nice, and we saw the Abbey. Is it an Abbey?
The
ruins
Thetford Abbey Garden, not Abbey Gardens, that's Bury St Edmunds, what I'm talking about. Yeah, the Thetford Priory Park.
The Priory Park, beautiful place. Must come back, looking forward to it. And of course, you introduced us to the pub, the Thomas Paine pub, where Thomas Paine used to live in Thetford.
Indeed, he did. Yeah, he lived there. I don't know if he was born there, but I know he certainly lived there.
Yeah, and he also, funnily enough, lived down in Lewis, and they've got a priory nearby. So he obviously liked living near ruined priories. But anyway, enough of all of that nonsense. Let's get on to you. So tell us about LSB and how you got into filmmaking, Kris.
Well, I suppose as a child, I always loved movies, and I remember my dad buying me one of those cine cams, so the ones that you have to do that to.
Oh, a wind-up
I'm not being
cine
obtuse.
Camera.
Yeah, just so no sound, just the picture.
That's what. Yeah.
And then he bought me one of those VHS over-the-shoulder type jobbies. Obviously, there was no editing software back then, so it was all
in one take.
Rubbish, yeah.
But that's funny though, because I say it's funny, but that trained us. I mean, I always think you go back to with that cine camera, you only had 3.5 minutes to make something.
Yeah, that's right. It wasn't a lot.
Every moment you had to make the most of every second.
Yeah, definitely, you did. And I remember just being a loser at school, so instead of concentrating on the subject at hand, I'd just be drawing mock movie posters that I could then make a movie about at the weekend. So that's kind of where my passion for filming first started. And then I loved the Halloween franchise, and obviously horrors are the easiest movies to make. and
more, and the probably great fun with all the horror effects, knowing that it's all a bit of fakery.
Yeah, definitely. And then I kind of veered towards making more music videos, and so my LSB film channel was predominantly music and my short stories, my animations. I used to make a lot of Christmas films with the kids, and they'd go up on there. Very time consuming, but I loved doing it. Didn't really get the views, but
No, I know that
it wouldn't
feeling.
do.
Isn't it funny? And you're probably the same as me. You spend forever on something that you're so proud of, and you put it up. Nobody watches it,
Yeah.
and then you do something where you're just sitting down with one camera shot, no editing, nothing, and then loads of people watch it. And you think that's really weird. I
Yeah,
didn't have to do any
little,
effort.
A little bit like the Thetford council video that
Exactly.
which went up.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, I'd done the music videos and the short films, and then during COVID, I used to go up to London and do the marches, and so I'd film and document them, and they got more views.
Yes.
I suppose that was the start of my journey on this line of work.
Of what you're doing, yeah,
and
absolutely.
then obviously once the Thetford Town Council meeting went, then it was clear to me that that's what people had an interest in, and so
Yes.
for some time after that, I used my channel really pretty much recording or just using other footage of council meetings to show people what's going on in councils. And
Yes.
that was good. That worked for a while. Then
Did it surprise you what was going on in councils?
It did surprise me, but I was probably just as surprised at how much interest there was in it. Because
Yes.
ordinarily you'd go to a council meeting and you'd have nobody there. It would just be the council and a couple of people wanting to know about the allotment, you know.
Yes.
But
Well,
then
quite.
all of a sudden it just everyone had an interest in it.
Yes.
But then I got demonetized because I was sharing other people's work or videos, not really work, Zoom videos, and that wasn't in the interests of their policies. So
Yes.
it wasn't necessarily the content, the subject matter, it was just the fact that I was taking from one place and uploading it onto mine. So then I
Yes.
had to kind of jiggery poker as to how I presented them. So now I always do a bit like this, face to camera.
Yeah, a bit beforehand.
To to give it an introduction and to make it a little bit more of my own. And so far that's been okay.
Yeah, and it also helps to put it in context as well. If people are tuning in and you've given it a sort of like, this is about such, and you wait till the 32nd minute. Whoa.
Yeah, well that's right. Yeah, that's definitely right. And then I kind of, like you, people were contacting me wanting to talk to me and to tell me their stories. So then I thought, all right, I'll bite the bullet, because I'm not that comfortable in front of the camera. I'm so used to being the other side of it. When I'm face on, I just stutter and.
Well, you're
fumble my
doing.
way
Don't be silly. No, you're doing very well. And of course, the more you do it, and the more you make it something that's like a job, where you just have to go. I've got to switch off my worries and fears because I've got to get this done. It becomes easier and easier. And especially when you get so fed up of, I get so fed up of seeing myself, I don't even see myself anymore, especially with my dodgy one eye. And I think, I'm looking particularly ugly in that one, but who cares? It's the subject that I'm interviewing.
Yeah,
That's
definitely. To be fair, the bit I struggle with the most usually is the introduction. I have to look down at the names, and I tend to get the name wrong.
Yeah. Oh yes, I've put my foot in it many times with that and gone, hang on a minute, let me just re-record that opening, because if I can get past the opening, and then the rest of it is down really to the person I'm interviewing, which makes life so much easier, and then I can just ask some relatively easy questions. What does LSB stand for?
LSB is my daughter's initials.
Ah.
So
okay.
Lily Saren Brooks.
Oh, lovely.
Then later on it became, let's say, Britain.
That's very good.
And then Reform nicked it. So it's gone back to being my daughter's initials.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, well, there we go. There's a little mystery, because I've often thought, what does that mean then? Because at first I misread it and thought it was LSD.
Yeah.
And I was thinking,
done quite a lot.
oh, yeah.
I've had so many different LSB, LBS. It's like my
Yes,
name, KRIS.
yes.
It's KRIS. It's CRIS. It's KHRIS. It's
In the end,
ridiculous.
yeah. In the end, it's as long as people get there and they watch the content, that's the key thing.
Yeah,
Now,
absolutely.
you decided in the May, was it? It must have been May last year to stand as a town councillor.
Well, I decided before that because that's when I got elected.
Right. Okay.
So I don't know when it was. It must have been, yeah, it must have been the month before that we all rallied to do
Yes.
this. And
Because there were a number of you, wasn't there, trying to do
I
it?
think there was about 13 of us
Oh,
in
blimey.
total. Because the idea was that we all, or a good amount of us, got in so that we could then create
Change
the
things.
change that we want. But as a lone soldier, if you like,
Yes.
amongst a predominantly Labour established council,
Must have been quite isolating.
isolating. Yeah, I was definitely the black sheep, or I felt like the black sheep. But at the same time, like if I wanted to say no, I vote against that. That's just one vote out of 16. So I was never going to create any change that I would have liked to have seen. And I think I'm more of a nuisance for the town council in this capacity rather than working within that establishment. And I also felt a little bit of a hypocrite because I'm reporting on the corruption within councils, and then there's me as a councillor.
But it must have done you some good because you could see how things came about. So you've got an understanding of how the council system works.
Yes and no. I could definitely see how things, very clicky. I could see how a lot of it worked, but a lot of the decisions were already predetermined. A lot of the decisions had already had a secret meeting, and then they'd come in and vote on it. And go, yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Oh,
so,
and then,
so
right.
yeah, I was only on like the planning and then the full council meetings. So a lot of the others were on all kinds of different committees. But unfortunately, because of the time restraints, me trying to run my own YouTube channel, my own production company, and father of two kids, I just didn't have the time to do all these meetings. And all these meetings tended to be during working hours, apart from the ones that I could do. And so a part of me didn't feel like I was fulfilling the role enough to warrant being a counsellor. I almost felt like imposter syndrome, where I didn't really feel like I deserved to be there because there's so many more people within the group that I was with, as in the Thetford bunch,
Yes.
so much more passionate about it. I think to be a counsellor or an MP or any kind of politician, they're a different breed, and
Yes.
I'm not that breed.
No, and it would be silly to do something under pressure that you don't feel comfortable or you don't feel, is your thing.
Yeah,
Um,
so I didn't.
abs- yeah, no, so you didn't. And how did the others feel when you got in and perhaps they didn't?
Well, to be honest, the support I had was really good. They laid on a meal for me. They kept playing on the jukebox. You are the one and only. Um, and so I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed I don't know what is the prestige for about a month of being a town councillor, but that soon wore off, and then it was just like, oh, another meeting, really.
Yes.
And then I just didn't have the passion for it. And like I said, I think I can do so much more through the channel, exposing not just Thetford but all other walks of councils and government institutions, that I'm better off doing this. This is where my passion is.
Yes, no, absolutely, and that shows when you're doing your interviews and you're getting these amazing guests on the show, and so yeah, absolutely. So do the team support you in the same way now that you're running the channel?
Yeah, I told them that I don't particularly want to be doing this counselling job for much longer, and they
Yeah,
said that no, you're not. you're not really achieving what we set out to achieve, not because of me, but just
No.
because it was only me. And
Yes.
so that's when they decided to do the the Thetford Council Watch.
And how is that going?
That's going quite well. We would still like to see more people come down to the meetings, because at the end of the day, we are there for the people of Thetford. And
Yes.
so we would like to get more of those people in, especially those people who feel like they haven't got a voice with the Thetford Town Council. So,
Yeah, no,
we're there for them. So it would be nice to have them join us in a few more of these meetings. It's okay me live streaming it to YouTube, but I should imagine only like 10% of those people watching it are from Thetford. And
Right.
whilst it's interesting for other towns and cities to see what's going on in the hope to inspire, we really need a Thetford base of people, because once you've got the people, you've got more traction.
Yes. You see, I'm of a certain age that I remember, not that I ever took part in sort of councils and things, but we had, I think, about 2, possibly 3 newspapers, either in the various towns that I've lived in, local papers, and there were local radio stations. Back in the day when the local radio stations would go and sort of sit in and find out what the council were up to and then do pieces about it on the radio. But all of that's gone now. Nobody tells you what the council's got in mind. The first you know about it is when they've decided to put a cycle lane in or something, and you go, oh, that's now I can't drive down this road, or whatever or they've permitted down here in Worthing, where I am, they permit the most ugliest of buildings, and you think, who the hell put that through? Because I haven't met anybody who likes it.
Yeah, I know it's ridiculous, isn't it? But it's all underhand. It's all backhand deals, backdoor deals, whatever the expression is.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just not nice. I know West Suffolk, they still have a press table where they'll have a journalist writing down, because they're usually the ones that slag us off when we've turned up there to ask questions.
All right.
But Thetford doesn't,
No.
other than me and
Other than you.
and
Yeah.
people. And to be honest, since I resigned, I haven't attended a Thetford council meeting. And we've had somebody else, Roy, he's been doing the filming from the side. Now, for a long time, or for the last 2 or 3 months, every time they'd gone there to film, the council had walked out, because they wouldn't allow they wouldn't allow the public questions to be filmed. Now, that's illegal as far as I'm aware, but they were saying it's data protection because there's certain people in the audience that didn't want to have their picture on their face on film. But they don't have to have their face on film. But what I have understood through all this is that certain groups of the certain parties of the council, shall we say, have their plants in the audience.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of shenanigans going on behind the scenes to disrupt and try and hide what's really going on.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so that's what my channel's kind of become now, really. It's kind of become a place where people can come to try and get some information to build awareness of what's going on, much like your channel.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it'd be good to see YouTube channels start singing from the same hymn sheet and focusing on certain things which is important to everybody, and to just get that message to hit home.
Yes.
And I think it's also important to have, because I get people saying, I had a message the other day saying, oh, it's great that you talk about this and that and this and that, but we need action. So I just threw it back and said, look, we're here to spread awareness as a YouTube content creator like me or yourself. We can only do so much. It is that, we divulge information and we share what is being told to us, but then it's up to the person watching to then run with that information, whether that's for the community or even on a local, a personal level, and they need to then start picking up that gauntlet and running with it too.
Yes, because it would be strange if you were watching, say, I don't know, BBC News, and the newscaster who was just saying, it says, and here's the news about such and such, and this says, oh, actually, I'm going to go now and sort out some, go and get off and do the things. You're like, no, your job is the newscaster. We want you to tell us the news. And people do get a bit confused with people like us who are sort of reporting on stuff or interviewing people about stuff with activists who are on the ground doing. That's not my skill set.
No. I mean, I would say I've done my fair share. I ran for councillor. I got in, didn't like it, got out again. But we have done things. I mean, the whole Thetford 20-minute neighbourhood was based on a group of us getting leaflets printed, distributing them to about 5,000 addresses in Thetford to get the awareness out there. So these people then turned up to that council meeting, which then created what started this journey for me. And so I'd like to think that I am doing as well as just reporting on, but again, you can only do so much.
Yes, I mean, but you're acting as like an anchor, really, as a central point, as a news distribution for. Because if the local papers or the radio stations or the mainstream media aren't reporting on it, people are relying on a different take, on a more realistic take. And, we can only report on the stuff that we've got access to, but we seem to be able to get more access to the real stories than the nonsense that the mainstream chuck out.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is nice.
I actually had an email from a guy, George Cook, I think his name was, and he is something to do with the University of East Anglia journalism.com or something.
All right.
And he wanted to interview me and speak with the guys in Thetford and girls. And I had a quick look on their website, and it was all propaganda narrative stuff. So
right.
I just wrote back saying, look, I've had a look at your website, and I don't think that you would paint us in a fair light or portray us in how we want to be portrayed. So thank you, but no thank you.
Thank you. Yes. I mean, I'm usually very busy if I don't want to turn up on somebody's
and
interview.
he actually mentioned something to do with BBC East. So I thought, no, that's it.
Yeah. Well, this is it. One has to be so careful. Have you had, since you've been doing what you've done, people accusing you of, I don't know, they accuse me of being a shill or controlled opposition and all this sort of nonsense?
I've been called a Freemason because of my logo.
Oh, right.
But I suppose I suppose this is because the younger lot, the Manila, I can't even say it. They don't know what digital. They only know digital, so they wouldn't necessarily know what old-fashioned film looks like.
Yes.
So it's just a segment of an old-fashioned film, slanted. Oh, it's got triangles. Oh, it's Masonic.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we had that once, Julia and I. We were talking about our old days, or my old days of filming and various bits, and I used to do things like the Bald Explorer or whatever. And Julia and I, we did an episode where we were looking for some vintage dresses for Julia, and in this episode we went to a charity shop and we did some still shots of us, which we used in the thumbnail and various parts of the episode. And somebody made a video, and it was one of my viewers sent it to me, and they said, oh, this bloke's calling you a Freemason, a member of the big club, because in the background there was this so-called pyramid. And I was thinking, hang on a minute, where was this? Oh, yes, I remembered the charity shop that we were in, and I thought, a pyramid? I don't remember that. And then I looked down the comments, and somebody had said, it's not a pyramid, it's a lampshade. And I thought, oh, yeah, that's right. And it was this lampshade that, in the angle that the picture took it, yeah, it looked a bit like a pyramid, but just because that was in the background. And, of course, I've got one eye, and you know how these people do this.
You're Illuminati.
Oh, yeah. Which would be great if they could send me the check sometime.
I was going to say, I wish I could live like one, as in not have to worry about finances, but I'm afraid that so far from the mark, it's just unbelievable. But
yes.
I do question the mentality of some of these so-called truthers.
Yeah, there does seem to be a lot of people who, if you say just one thing they don't agree with you, they've automatically taken away everything good that you've done, and they just suddenly appear to, you. And I think there's a lot of confused people out there, really, who are believing
definitely.
all sorts of nonsense.
And I tend to be somebody, especially when it comes to like the comments in my videos. I try and answer all of them. I mean, if I was hitting the viewing figures that you hit, I just wouldn't be able to do it. I
You
think it took me
can't.
about a week to clear all the ones on the Thetford video that I did, and I even employed my little girl to say, right, I'll give you £1 for every 100 every hearts that you do, and so she was doing it for me. So I could get on with other stuff, but
Yes.
no, but when you do read all these comments, I mean, to be fair, the majority of the comments are good and they are
Yes.
supportive and they are nice. But you do get the odd few, which you
Yes.
just think, oh, have a day off.
Well, and this is what I've always, I mean, even when we were doing just benign stuff like the Bald Explorer going around looking at old castles or churches or nature, and you'd get people criticizing you for mispronouncing something or whatever it was. And time after time, the same name would turn up, and you'd think, well, look, if you don't like the channel, nobody's strapped you down in a chair and forced you to watch it. You really don't understand why people tune in if they're not interested.
Well, this is it. And I think it was Alex Belfield that he used to make, because I used to quite enjoy watching his content because he was quite funny. And he would do like, why, they're people in their mother's back bedrooms and they've got no life if their main ambition and drive is to comment and watch things by people they don't even like. It's like,
Yes, it is. It is very odd, but in the end, you do get a bit of a thick skin, and I mean, I just ignore all of
I
that
just get a bigger
nonsense.
nose.
Yeah,
But I mean,
yeah,
to be fair, I would say 95% of my subscribers are decent people.
yes,
And I would also say, that I've always got regular commenters on there who always watch.
yeah. And it's
Um,
nice that, I mean, I would say the same. I would say the vast majority of the audience are actually very supportive and very kind, and I very much, of course, I very much appreciate them because you're only as good as your audience, really. If nobody watches you, then you're sort of just pissing in the wind, as they
yeah,
say.
absolutely. So I just wanted to clarify. I didn't want to come across like
No, 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 not at all.
but the majority of my subscribers are decent. But yeah,
Yes, yeah.
definitely.
Absolutely. So, what sort of material interests you? What sort of areas do you like to get into, and the type of guests that you like to have on your show?
At the moment, I'm kind of focusing on people who have had rough experiences with the state,
Mm.
so I can get first-hand knowledge of the corruption that they've had to experience.
Yes.
That's
You had a
kind of
farmer on, didn't you, recently, who had been thrown out of his farmhouse?
oh, poor Danny Beach, yeah. That's a story and a half, I'll tell you. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to play out. I wish him all the best, and I hope it does. I hope he does get remedy for everything that he's gone through, because that was quite a harrowing story. Um, who else have I had on? I've recently just interviewed a gentleman called Alan. Can't think of his last. Honestly, my memory has become so bad.
Oh, I know. People, I forget. People say, "Oh, that bloke you had on last week," and I'm thinking, "Hang on, I did about 10 interviews last week. Which one are you
Yeah,
talking
but he's
about?"
got a YouTube channel, and he's actually got about 7,000 more subscribers than I have. But he is the man who used to be a working Department of Work and Pensions call agent, and we hit it off really well. That's a really good podcast. But he was saying that he couldn't believe the amount of corruption that goes on within those systems, and how he really tried his best to help these people out. But then I
Yes.
also had Richard J. Gold on, who I know that you've had on,
Yes.
and he was saying AI are already running the show. It's AI that make these decisions. It's not a human anymore. So we keep it always feels like there's a definitive point where, oh right, we're now in the new world order. But I think we're already in it.
Do you?
Mm.
Do you think we can get out of it?
I am optimistic that, especially this year, I think this year is going to be a pivotal year as to which way it goes. But I do believe that, I believe the cabal, or whatever you want to call them, I do believe that they've lost already. And now it's just like collateral damage.
Yes. No, it's interesting you say that, because I'm getting that from pretty much everybody. I mean, a couple of years ago, there was a lot of fear and you were all going down the drain. But now I'm feeling that everybody I've had on has got a positive thing on it. And there's, they're effectively saying the head of the monster's been chopped off, but we're just seeing the last dying throes of the monster. And some of it might be a bit stupid and might be painful for some people, but we just got to go through that before we get to the other end.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, you look back through history, good has always conquered evil in the end.
Yeah.
Human...
If only these evil people would actually do a bit of history and realise that. Because then they would, they go, look, the evil guy never wins, so what's the point of doing all this evil stuff?
But they just have no empathy, do they? They lack the decency that makes you and I and the people watching this human.
Yes.
Can we say
I
human? Or is that...
Yeah, well, that's like, the colour of man, isn't it? Yeah. We get so confused with all this terminology.
So, like, just the divine living man and woman. Because we can't say person. It's a minefield, isn't it?
I know. And the thing is, I mean, I always think, ultimately, this is the kind of language, the Oxford English Dictionary is the language I grew up with. Most people understand. If you're not talking, say, about legal or lawful stuff, you can still use person, because the audience mostly will understand what you mean. But some people will come in and put in, oh, you can't use that word, you can't do this, you can't. It's like, yeah, but everyone knows what we're talking about, because we're not in court.
It's that fine line, isn't it?
Yeah.
You want to... What you want to say needs to be understood by other people. Yes,
absolutely. And that's what we're doing, and we're getting through it. But it's interesting you say about the positive outcome, which I think is good, because this year seems to be so far a year of disclosure. A lot of things are leaking out. Am I right in thinking you've had Gary Waterman on your show?
I haven't yet. I'm interviewing him on Tuesday.
Ah, brilliant. Yeah, he's an interesting chat with lots of stuff going on. And what I like is that if I've had someone or somebody else has had someone and I've got somebody coming in, and then you watch the two different interviews, the interviewer asks a whole set of different questions, which is great, because they're asking, and I've seen some of your stuff and I think, oh, I wish I'd asked him that.
See, I don't even tend to look at myself as an interviewer, because I don't necessarily think I'm a very good one. I don't necessarily think I'm a very good interviewee either. But I just tend to let them speak, because I think the more you can just give them free rein, the more they divulge.
Yeah, no, I agree. And a lot of people will say to me, Richard, why didn't you ask him this? Or you just accepted something that he said. And I think, well, my platform is about giving people the opportunity to have free speech, not like the BBC where they've got an agenda and they're cutting down. I do occasionally, like this is a conversation, so it's not quite the same. But occasionally, if there's something I don't quite understand, they've said, and I think, you just...
you have to clarify. Yeah, you have to clarify, because you've got to think about what the audience are thinking. Oh, why didn't you ask that? Why didn't you ask this? And so, yeah, I do try to play devil's advocate sometimes as well. So even if I do agree with what the person's saying, I might come at it from the other angle just to...
Well, sometimes subjects are quite complex, and so, they know their subject. I did have a lady on the other day who wanted to divulge something, a huge scam, and unfortunately, and I hope she's not watching this, but unfortunately she was unable really to articulate. She just sort of spouted everything in one go, and I thought, this is so confusing. And that's where I had to, and that's why I always pre-record stuff, apart from our lawful remedy that we're doing live. But apart from that, I pre-record it, because if it doesn't work, then I can just say, look, really sorry, but I just don't think it's either strong enough or it lost the,
Momentum.
yeah, and we can do it again, but at a later stage or something like that.
That's a good bluff off. I'll have to remember
Nick that one. So yeah, no, I did have a gentleman who was going to tell me a lot of stuff about money, and he did say in his email, this is going to be brilliant, it'll be a fantastic interview, I've got a lot to say about money. And I thought, wow, okay, and we got down to recording, and then one of the questions, this was like early last year, and I was quite new to all this, but I said to him, why do you suppose everybody's using cash then? And he said, oh, I just think it's fashion. And I thought to myself, even I know that's not what we're talking about. Yeah. And it turned out that actually he had no grip on what was really happening with the idea of central CBDCs and all of those things coming in. And so it is awkward when you've got an interviewee and you want them to be able to say something really good, and then you realise actually this is not going to work or cut the mustard, and I don't want to put them on to make them look foolish.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Because at the end of the day, people want to be entertained, and people just want to get lost in dialogue, don't they? I mean, that's why people like Joe Rogan are so successful at their podcasts, because the guests are so knowledgeable, and Rogan does have a good way of being really balanced. I mean, I'm sure he's controlled up, and but his podcasts are good.
Yes,
I do enjoy those podcasts, but no, sometimes you do get a guest on and you think, oh, I just want to press the end now button. So I had a power cut.
Yeah, so sorry. Of course, no doubt you've got a great big team that is there to vet everything and go through it, and you just get the script. I'm sure this is how it happens with your wonderful podcast, Kris.
No. No, and the only time that did happen, I didn't like it, so that came to an abrupt end.
But it's funny, people assume sometimes from me, I've had emails to Richard and team.
Yeah,
and I'm going, where is this team?
Yeah, to everybody at LSB. Well,
yeah.
Hello, it's just me.
Hello.
Just me. Oh, and the kids.
Exactly. That's well. You did, as you said earlier. You employed your young one to press heart, so you've got a team.
Yeah. But no, it's just me, and it's just you.
And that's right. Do you get? I get a lot of these people trying to work in collaboration with me.
Oh, I've had loads of more so on Rumble, I find.
Oh right. Oh okay.
Yeah, I get those kind of messages on Rumble, and messages like, "Oh, your channel was really good. I've just watched such and such really good video, but I don't feel you're getting enough viewers. So WhatsApp me on such and such and such." And so it's just obviously people trying to sell their services, I guess.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get loads of that. And then inappropriate products. Yeah. They say, I mean, one person I think was saying, we love your channel. It's really good. I think we can work really well together. We'd love to send you a teapot, and we'd like you to do a 5-minute, insert on the teapot. And I think to myself, you actually haven't watched. Oh. Yeah, you haven't watched what I'm doing at the moment. It might have been great, when we were doing sort of van life stuff. If you'd have sold us given us a power pack to review, that would have been different. But to be honest, I avoid all of them because I feel my integrity is more important than interrupting the program and saying, "Oh, let me just tell you about this wonderful teapot," which is irrelevant. The only thing I do occasionally is tell them about events that I'm either related to or people that have been on the show are related to that the audience may find interesting.
No, that's fair. I mean, I have looked into what it's like to get a channel sponsor because you can't rely on ad revenue, and like I've already learned, you can be demonetized like that. And at the moment, YouTube is my main source of income.
Yes.
But I would like, it would be nice if you could, not like how you've said where you interrupt a program, but if you just have like a caption at the start where it says this program is sponsored by such and such. That I wouldn't mind that. But unfortunately, given the type of content that I create, I can't, unless it's someone like the Light Paper I can't really see who's going to want to put their branding to what I do.
Yes. Well, I mean, I feel the same. And then things like the light paper, I'm more than happy to advertise for free anyway, because it's trying to get people
That's
to
right. It's
think
just,
differently.
I mean, funny you should say we talk about the light paper, because I've been accused of being right wing because I had a light newspaper on display on one of my videos. It's
Well,
crazy.
these days you can't just be right wing; you've got to be extreme right wing.
Yeah. that
Yeah,
is-
so that you got away with it lightly if you weren't extreme.
yeah, fair enough.
And it does seem that if you're an extreme right wing, you're a fag paper away from being extreme left wing, because they seem to sort of, at some point, it's just like a tiny line between extreme capitalism and extreme communism. It seems to me, they all want to sort of dictate and tell you how to live your life.
It's all theatre, darling, isn't it?
It's all theatre,
All
absolutely.
theatre.
Who would you like to have on your show?
As in what, big names or?
Anybody as a guest, whether it's professions or big names or
I'd quite like to have a chat with Katie Hopkins, but just because I find her quite funny and I like what she says. I haven't really got any huge inspirations.
how do you get your guests?
To be fair, I would rather speak to, and I hate this word as well, normal folk.
Yes.
Because they're the ones who have to live through all this. And I find that their experiences would be far more interesting than somebody who's living the high life.
Yeah, no, well, I do agree. I mean, I agree with her, and people often say, you should get Dr. So-and-so on because they are the pinnacle of what have you. And then I'll look at them, and they're on every other platform being guested, and I think, well, they've already got their message out.
Yeah.
Whereas I had a lovely chap the other day who's a young bloke who's a medium, a spiritualist
So
medium.
I'm an extra large.
Oh, are you an extra large? You say, well, I'm a small generally. Lost a lot of weight doing this job. And anyway, he came on. He was very nice, and he did his thing. But oh my goodness, the amount of sort of criticisms. Oh, you should have got this medium, or you should have got that one because they're more. And you think, I'd rather give somebody a leg up
Absolutely, yeah.
than somebody who's already at the top. Just what? Because it's giving me prestige because I've managed to hook somebody famous. And this is what people at different, as you say, more ordinary everyday people are people that we can relate to, because that's what mainstream media will do, give you all the celebs. They're not really interested.
No. I mean, I suppose out of everyone that you've had on your channel, I wouldn't mind speaking with Andrew Bridgen, but I can't really think of anyone else that is up on my
On your wish list.
No.
How do you get the guests that you do get?
They usually email me. I mean, on various videos I'll say, if you've got a story that you want to talk about, and then put my email address at the bottom, and then they contact me that way. That's usually how it works.
No, I mean, I find very similar, or people recommend people, and they say, how about such and such, and what have you. And I don't, at first, it was a struggle to try and get a few people on, but once you're established, the audience are very kind. They'll sort of either share your videos, and then somebody else say, well, I've got this, I do this, or I can channel aliens. And you think, well, that's got to be fun, hasn't it? It's got to be a bit of a interest. And so, I've got a very open mind. I mean, have you found your mind changed as you're open to ideas and suggestions as you do this?
I've always been quite open-minded. Ever since a young child, I've always been quite open-minded, and yeah, I'm quite happy to listen to. I mean, I had the other farmer bloke on my podcast, George Smith, and he owned a farm up in Scotland, Aberdeenshire, and he was being attacked by the Freemasons, but there was also UFOs activity going on up there. So I've had some
interesting
guests.
Yeah. I once interviewed, this was ages before I was doing the video stuff, and back in the old days when I used to do a podcast which was audio only, and I interviewed this chap called Charles Walker. And down where I am, there's a wood called Clapham Wood, which was very famous in the 70s for its so-called devil worship or satanic practices that went on. And I've walked in there many times, and it's a very lovely wood. And you go in there very soon actually, and the bluebells will be out, and it can be very beautiful. But in the 70s, it had all this sort of dark stuff. And I interviewed this chap, and a few people have over the years have come back and said, "Oh, we'd love to use your content because you interviewed this great man." He's since died. But he was witness, he says, up on Chantonbury Ring, which is a well-known ring on the top of the South Downs here near me, where he witnessed some levitation was going on. This poor bloke was lifted up, and it's had the UFO stuff. They don't hear so much of that going on. I mean, we did last year. We had a lot of UFO, or they've renamed UFOs to something else now, haven't they? There's different initials now.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, I mean, I stick with UFOs. It's much easier. But I dare say that'll all come back.
Things do tend to come back in cycles, don't they? Like you said earlier.
Yeah, a bit like a magazine, isn't it? Something falls in favour and then it drops away and then it comes back, and all of that kind of thing. What's your thoughts on, say, things like the spiritual side of life? This is an area that I've been exploring with some guests and readings and things. Not spiritual not like medium readings, but book readings, reading books.
You wrote a book, didn't you? A long time ago? Did you write a book about ghosts? Or
no,
some ghost related?
I did have a go at writing some children's books some while ago, before I did the Bald Explorer stuff. But I realised that what I was writing, what I enjoyed writing about, was so old hat that wasn't sort of commercially marketable.
Oh, okay.
And you put yourself against Harry Potter, and of course I've since learnt a lot about the author of that book, who's I can't say too much about that on a public forum, but wasn't something that I would want to get into. No. Put it like that.
I am very open-minded when it comes to. We used to go ghost hunting, me and my brother. And even my wife, when we first met, we jumped over where I took you. So, Thetford Priory, we jumped over the wall and we were taking pictures and getting orbs on the camera. It's probably just rain droplets, if I'm honest. But no, I've had some weird encounters. I'll give you one example. In my old house, I was playing the guitar, and over in the far end corner where my window was, I had a friend playing the piano, and we were just playing away, and an acorn just fell from the ceiling above me and hit me on the head.
In the house?
In the house.
Where the hell did the acorn come from?
And I've had moments where I've had little just water droplets in the house, or when I used to do that thing called work. And I'd be going around, just walking around the office or something, and I would just get a little droplet of water on me, and they're all apparently got spiritual meanings to it.
It wasn't the water tank leaking above in the bathroom, but I've had that, but that was something that needed fixing quickly.
No, it wasn't that. So
no.
I am quite open to the unknown.
And I think in the areas that we're talking about on the show is that we have to be very open, because there's a lot of things that have been going on, history, the falsification of history and all of that really sort of challenges one.
Yeah, I mean, you just look at some of the stuff like David Icke that he's put out over the last 30 years. People have been thinking he's bat crazy, so I edited myself there.
Yeah, well done.
But now it's coming out, and the paper is, he talked about that. Oh, that actually, that has happened. And so things that we dismiss quite flippantly, I think we need to not do that quite so much.
Do you get accused of being a conspiracy theorist?
I've got my foil hat over there.
Have you?
Yeah. I
Sounds
suppose
like
we are
with
conspiracy theorists.
well,
But there's a difference between a conspiracy theory and a conspiracy fact,
yes,
and it's usually about 3 to 6 months.
that's right. And we have certainly seen that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
In recent times, and yet it's funny how people will those people who are so embedded in the old ways and couldn't possibly think the government are doing anything nefarious or causing us harm still can't see stuff, and you go, how difficult has it got to be before you realise?
I think a lot of it is that people just aren't prepared to completely accept that the life that they've lived has been a lie. I don't think people can get their head around that fact. But, that's how I view it anyway. Because
No,
they're like these people who have called you crazy about certain things. Oh, you're stupid. Of course, it's safe. They never apologise for being wrong.
no.
They conveniently forget about that.
And the thing is, because we put our head above the parapets on shows like this, I mean, inevitably, I make mistakes all the time. I'll get the wrong date on the wrong thing, or I've misconstrued something, or somebody will say, "No, Richard, you were absolutely wrong about that story," and I'll happily put my hand up and say, "Look, I'm really sorry. I did get that wrong." Some of the big things have yet to be proved to be wrong. Certain medical interventions and things, it seems more and more that they're being proved right, of course. And even Pfizer apparently are apologising, according to a video with John Campbell in for things that they may or may not have done, which I can't possibly go into detail about.
He's done all right for himself, any old John. He's not even a real doctor. He's a nurse, isn't he? He was a nurse.
Yes.
He's done all right. How many subscribers has that bloke got now?
I don't know. It's vast.
2+ million, isn't it?
But that's an interesting thing you mention him, because people say to me they won't watch him at all, because at one point he was pushing the medical intervention that we all know about, and then he changed his mind and he had it done to him.
Well,
and now
the way that I look at that is that we've all made mistakes.
Yes.
And everyone has to, people say the same about Russell Brand to a certain extent, but people have the right to change their mind.
Yes, because if you weren't able to change your mind, think, when we were kids, we all wanted to be spacemen and engine drivers. Well, we may well have changed our mind from that time. And if you weren't allowed to change your mind on anything, I mean, for goodness sake, we wouldn't advance.
Exactly. And, people who have done bad things in the past go on to change and do much good for the world.
Yes.
So it's a very narrow-minded approach when people say, "Oh, yeah, but he was pushing." Yeah, well, so what?
Yeah, exactly.
My family, a lot of my family have taken it and then since thought, "What have I done?"
Yes.
So on just a human basic level, we make mistakes.
And sometimes we're very much influenced by what either the majority of people say we should do, or mainstream media and that sort of thing. And they push one idea, say, I don't know, off the top of my head, man-made global warming, for example, and we may all go along with it. But as facts come in, we may go, actually, that sounds the most absurd thing. I'm going to change my mind and say, actually, I don't believe that this man-made global warming is quite what you've made out it to be. And we should be receptive.
Richard?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it isn't. It's bullshit, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. But we should be able to... but the thing is, we should be able to understand if people want to change their mind on something, and particularly those things which go against the mainstream media. I mean, you and I, of course, would embrace anybody who says that they were doubtful that it was man-made global warming, that actually it might be other things. It may not be our fault. And actually, it's quite all right to have cows running around the countryside farting.
Well, yeah. Totally.
I mean, not that I would want one doing it in my face particularly, but I don't think that is the biggest issue, or indeed that diesel cars are going to be the end of the world.
We need more carbon, not less.
Absolutely. So let me ask you, what is the carbon that we've got in the atmosphere at the moment?
What the percentage? Isn't it something like 0.004?
There you go, you see. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And they want it. They want to reduce the carbon right down to naught. Well,
they say if it drops-
0.02.
Yeah, they say if it drops below that, then life ceases.
Yes, which is stupid,
Mm.
But then I don't think they want life here, do they?
Not for us, no.
No,
But
not
again,
for us.
this is the psychopathic, lack of empathy, almost non-human. Again, human. I don't know. You know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Exactly.
But, yeah.
Absolutely.
They're-
You mentioned music and your guitar. What kind of music do you like, Kris?
Well, my guitar hero is Dave Gilmour from Pink Floyd. So
I'm on dodgy ground now because I'm crap with music. So I don't know why I've done this, because I don't actually know who John. People will laugh at this. I don't care. Whenever Julia is a walking encyclopedia, it seems to me, of music. And if I say something, she will come back with a lyric that's in and tell me what song it's in. And I say, oh, is it? Okay, I'll take your word for it. Yeah.
Julia and my wife would get on like a house on fire.
Is she the same?
Yeah.
But at least
I
know...
have a very, I've got a few CDs. Most of it's online now, isn't it?
It is.
But she's got loads of CDs, DVDs, and stuff. I would rather go and watch a band live than listen. But I prefer playing music.
Yes. No, I would love to be able to play music. I did try when I was younger to play the piano. Couldn't work that out. I wasn't one of those Chinese 5-year-olds that can play symphonies, on the piano, who clearly...
I have a keyboard, I have a bass guitar, I have about 5 electric guitars and an acoustic guitar.
Do you play in a band? Do you ever play in a band?
I used to play in a band, and I went solo for a few years, and then I kind of knocked it on the head because the kids were born. I was getting back at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I was then too wired to sleep properly, and then I was being woken up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was like, oh, I'll do this. But I want to get back into street music, so busking.
Oh, it's interesting you say that, because I started off doing busking, but not music. I was doing mime and juggling and unicycling and all that kind of caper. But the nice thing about, in a way, we're both busking on the internet with our.
I'd like to give a shout out as well to Robbie Robinson, who's a good friend of mine, and he's also been on my podcasts, but he busks as well.
Does he?
Yeah. And
Good old Robbie Robinson. It's a great name, actually.
That is a brilliant name, isn't it? I said that to him.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Robbie Robinson!
And so he's a really good busker, and he just puts a smile on your face because he's got such a good persona, really high energy.
Yeah.
So, and he's been in his 60s.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. But he doesn't look...
Nothing wrong with being in your 60s,
no,
by the way. I should
look
quickly mention it.
Honestly, he looks like he's late 40s. Hats off to you, Robbie.
There you go. So having a happy disposition is good for the old younger, youthful looks.
I would say so, yeah.
I would say so. And that's what we're trying to do, I suppose. You can't always have a happy disposition if you're talking about somebody who's been evicted and thrown off their land. You can't go, oh, that was fun. Clearly, you've got to respect the viewer. Yeah. But I do try mostly to be quite happy. In fact, when I'm doing my talks, my live talks, I make them more fun. Yeah. And even though if I'm saying, oh, by the way, everyone's trying to kill you, but let's have a knees up in the meantime.
So that's kind of what I've been trying to do with my videos. Not so much the podcasts. The last one that I done with that Alan guy. Alan he's going to kick my backside. Yeah, anyway, but we had a good laugh. That was good banter. But no, with my videos where I just do like thought of the day videos, I try and bring humour into it now.
But, yeah. And that I get that from people. And in fact, if I just take the mickey out, I think taking the mickey out of these globalists, Kabbalists, Illuminatiists, Luciferian, Satanists, Freemasony, whatever they are.
Alan McClement.
Oh, there we are. You just had that note handed to you by your production team.
No, that's been there from the last podcast I did.
All right, there you go. Yeah, you're like me. I've got bits of paper where I've got their names and all that,
But
which
he's
is
a
very
fantastic
handy.
bloke. He's a fantastic bloke.
Listen, we've been talking for an hour. I can't believe it.
Was it?
Yeah. Was it? He says he's later and nodding off.
Well, it's been fun. I've enjoyed
It's
it.
been good. I'm glad. Well, hopefully some of my viewers will come and join and see what you're up to on your
Hopefully
channel.
It'd be nice to
I will
have
put
a few
the links.
more over to the family.
Yeah, do go and check out Kris, because he has some different interview. I mean, if we're all just doing the same, it'd be like, well, it's just the same. But we all have different people, which is great. And as you said, your bit of fun in your, what did you call them? Your daily
Like thought of the day videos.
thought of the days. That's it. There we go.
But also, like you said,
What did I say?
the way that you interview is different to me, so therefore you get a different result from the same person.
Yes, no, I totally agree, and that's why I like listening to if somebody's interviewed and they they didn't mention that on mine, swines. It's much more. I always find somebody else interviewing the same person that I've interviewed much more interesting than because I'm so busy listening to what they're saying and thinking about there's a question, can I come in and and also sometimes get through and think, is it actually recording?
I just want to know if you're going to find the worst possible thumbnail, because you're quite good at that for me.
Oh.
But for your video. So you'll probably get one of me going.
So, right, okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, as you may or may not know, all these videos have thumbnails on them. And in my one, I always snick a picture. So, Kris, if you smile at the camera and I smile at the camera, I now know right at the end of this video to screen grab a picture. So here we go. We'll do the thumbnail. Yeah, there we go. We'll do the thumbnail live for the audience. Ready? One. So you cannot have a go at me if the thumbnail doesn't work. Right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. And then I'll screen grab that.
There you go.
And then I
I've only got these on to make me look clever. I don't need them.
Oh, right. They're very good.
They're those blue screeny ones, because I get
Do they work?
headaches. They help with the headache.
Do you get the headaches?
Yeah, I tend to get headaches.
Yeah, so if you need a pair of glasses to get headaches, they're the ones to get.
Yeah.
Oh, no, they're supposed to stop the headaches.
No, they prevent the headaches.
Oh, so yeah. I wear these just to get headaches.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I've only got one eye, but when you buy, if you've got one eye, anybody who's got one eye probably know this. You go in and you think you could get half price spectacles, but you have to have the other eye. Oh no, you've got a bit balanced, so you get charged.
I interviewed Liz Phillips the other week, and
oh, did you?
Just before she came on, she'd broke her glasses, so they were constantly going like that.
She's a dear.
So I did suggest about a GoFundMe page to get her a new pair, but she has since got a new pair, so that's good.
Fantastic. Well, listen, we've just gone over the hour. I'm going to boot you off. I'm sure you've got lots of wonderful people to go and interview, all lined up. I've got to go and sort out the cameras now for a 3-camera live for tonight. But this will actually go out on the Sunday.
Oh, right, okay. Cool.
So just, and if the audience are watching going, yeah, we know it's going out on Sunday because it's Sunday now. But it's like, for us, that's a time warp, but let's not get into that.
For those watching, it's Friday for us at the moment as we speak.
Yes, we've actually recorded this on Friday because I'm away, actually.
How are you?
I'm down in Tisbury doing a talk on Sunday. Or, no, I'm emceeing.
What, on the mic?
No, not like in a DJ thing. There's an event going on. It's like, ladies and gentlemen, and now the one and only so-and-so, so-and-so.
Oh, is that the thing with Liz?
No, that's next Sunday on the 20th in Swindon. As you mention it, give it a plug.
Yeah, definitely.
The Great Resist in Swindon. Do check out the
Taking back control.
Exactly. And you've taken back control by lifting up your beer. So I'm going to say, stay there for a second, but I'm going to say goodbye to the audience. Thank you so much, Kris, for coming in, telling us about LSB and your videos. And now we know a little bit more about this amazing man and what he get up to. Sneaking glasses of beer in the studio. I have yet to do that. But you never know. We used to do a beer show many years ago, but we got so drunk it turned into a sort of giggle show. But
it's more of a shandy, to be fair.
Oh, fair enough. I'll be back with more monologues and more wonderful guests. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. And do go and subscribe to Kris's production. All the links will be in the description. Till next time, from the pair of us here, goodbye.